A new program might actually pay you to stay home if you've been diagnosed with coronavirus. Wilson?
Yeah, Liz, this is the relocated Hayward testing site, now by appointment only. That is partly to control demand. And now Alameda County is trying to control another problem, families that have a financial crisis the moment one of these tests come back positive.
So literally every single person that we have spoken to through our contact tracing program, they have all asked for either food, help with rent, or access to be enrolled into healthcare.
As CEO of the Tiburcio Vazquez Health Center, Andrea Schwab Galindo has watched this pandemic land squarely on her community, Hayward's working class neighborhoods, primarily people of color.
And most people that test positive are usually the the members that are out there working or that are able to do that, and they're construction workers, they're grocery workers, so they're most likely exposed compared to some of the other family members that they're trying to support, including their children.
And that is exactly who Alameda County plans to help with a stipend program for those who have to self-isolate after a positive test. It is for those who do not receive unemployment benefits or sick leave, and there must be a referral from one of 5 approved clinics.
Yeah, I mean, whatever makes it a lot easier for people to deal with, this pandemic would be great. A financial stipend at $1,200 or even more would be, ideal for comforting a lot of families at home.
Details are still being finalized, but the county hopes that the stipend will encourage self-isolating and more testing in neighborhoods where the risk has proven considerable.
So our testing positivity rate at our clinics right now is 28%, which shows the great need, particularly in the South Hayward, Ashland, Cherryland area.
So Wilson, where's the money coming from for this program?
Well, this is a county program. The county has come up with $10 million, and they think with $10 million at about $1,200 and change per stipend, they're going to be able to give out about 7,500 of these. Now, like every other program we are seeing from local government through the course of this pandemic, hotel rooms, things like that, the hope is this will all get reimbursed by the state or the federal government someday.
Someday.
We will see.
Hopefully soon.
Okay, there you heard it, right? Once again, I covered this about a month ago. I was seeing this in California. There was a couple stories that come out about this where they were going to pay people to quarantine themselves, right? Here's this one here, like you just heard. It says, Alameda County offering $1,250 stipend to help CD19 patients during a quarantine. Now, this is very, very dangerous because this is where people will get deceived and they will see the money and want to go and do it, okay? This is how you create the exact perfect world of where they want you to stay home, obey us, obey our rules, do everything we say, and we will give you money, right? All the money they're given for unemployment. They're paying people more than they ever made, in real life. They're paying them, so much more to stay home, right? And then they're, paying you your stimulus to stay home, to obey, to listen, right? And this is the next step, right? This whole tactic right here is multifaceted, and I'll get into it right now. But just know that these are targeted, right? These are targeted areas because they're going to now be able to test these people, right? It had to be at a clinic, one of 5 approved clinics, so they have to test there, right? So now they get that. They're tracing them, they're tracking them, and eventually giving the vax to these areas, which is horrible, right? So look I'm going to go down here a little bit. I want you to hear some of this stuff. It's just because it's just not good. Right here, that is exactly what Alameda County plans to help with. The $1,250 stipend program for people who have to self-isolate after a positive test. The stipend is for those who did not receive unemployment benefits or sick leave and requires a referral from one of 5 approved clinics. You just heard them say that, exactly. So that means you are forced to go to what? One of their places, right? Just like I was talking about the storms, how they can get you to the shelters and how they are herding you into these certain areas, directions to be able to force test, force vaxes, etc., etc. It's all right in front of us. You just have to see it. It says, yeah, whatever makes it a lot easier for people to deal with would be great. You heard that guy say that, but he's just thinking of money. See, that's the thing. You put these families in a position, they don't have money to pay their rent, to pay their electric, to be able to eat. I'm going through it. Everybody's going through it. We all are still fighting to even just be able to survive not being allowed to work our normal jobs that we always did before. You know, there is no reason why I shouldn't be able to go back to work, and where tons of these other people should be. You know, you're going to allow these kids to go back to school? Really? But we can't go back to certain jobs, only work that you guys approve. You know, listen, it says the details are being finalized, but the county hopes the stipend will encourage self-isolating and more testing, in neighborhoods where the risk has proven considerable. That's the next thing, too. They hit the areas that they want to hit, just like they're doing with what they want to do with the vax when it comes out. They want it going to your, you know, your poor areas. They say hardly hit areas, but it's all, if you look at it, it's just, you know, they say, oh, it's hitting the African Americans, it's hitting the Latinos, and, you know, and it's hitting impoverished areas. Right there. I mean, that's it. And the elderly. You see exactly who they're targeting, right?
Centers for Disease Control and Prevention telling governors to start preparing their states for distributing a coronavirus vaccine in the fall. Dr. Mark Siegel joins me now. He's a professor of medicine at NYU Langone Medical Center and a Fox News contributor. I was talking with an HHS official about this letter earlier today, Mark, because there's criticism that, oh, they're sending out this letter because the president wants an October surprise of a vaccine. But I was told, look, we're getting this stuff ready to go. There's a lot of hurdles that are sometimes put in place that we want to make sure that those are not in the way of getting a vaccine out to people.
Yeah, John, I agree with that. They're saying to the governors, let's have things up and running by November 1st. And the reason is because distribution centers are often what slows this down after a vaccine is approved. And you want to have doctors' offices ready, and you want to have clinics and hospitals ready. So that's about gearing up here. And by the way, I talked to Robert Redfield, head of CDC, about this last week, and he said he thinks every day it's more and more likely that we're actually going to see a vaccine or two emerging in the fall. He's become very optimistic, and he also said that though the Department of Defense is involved, CDC is definitely taking the lead on vaccine distribution here. So that's why you're seeing that letter. They're hiring McKesson to distribute the vaccine.
You know, one of the things that is included in the letter is the possibility that states should waive certain requirements. But there is the caveat, though, that this is not going to affect the safety or the viability of a vaccine. But critics are saying, oh, wait a minute, you ask a state to waive anything, it's because you're trying to fast track through something that might not be put to the amount of rigorous scrutiny that it needs to be. What do you say on that front?
Well, John, let's look at the details of this. Phase 3 trials involve 30,000 people, and you compare one half of them that don't get it with one half that do. You look to see that it's safe, and you look to see that there's at least a 50% improved response to get the vaccine, provided there's virus in the area. I think that what's going to be controversial here, and you've never heard this before on the air, and it's never happened in history, is the Oxford University AstraZeneca vaccine has already been being tried in Europe, in the UK, in Brazil, in South Africa. You may see data coming out of those trials in advance of what we're doing in the United States. We're just starting to study that vaccine in the United States. Pfizer and Moderna were already been doing since July. But if the first vaccine to emerge is the Oxford vaccine, will the FDA grant an emergency use authorization based on data from the United Kingdom, our partner? That's never been done, but that would be reasonable because we look at those studies very, very carefully.
You know, I was told this morning by an HHS official that rather than there being this idea of an October surprise, that in some cases the vaccine trials aren't going as quickly as they had hoped. You know, there are like 5 days delay here, 7, 8, 10 days delay there. What do you know about that?
Well, it's because they have to make, that's true, John, and that's absolutely true, but it's because they have to make sure to get the volunteers in areas where there actually is a virus around, and that changes. I mean, here in New York, we're now studying the Oxford vaccine. We've studied the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccine, but we're not a hotspot anymore. There's plenty of hotspots left around the country and around the world. That's where the vaccine has to be targeted. Takes some delaying. It does delay things. And
HHS has been criticized for this $250 million ad campaign that it's undertaking. But I'm told one of the things that they're doing as part of this ad campaign is public service announcements, trying to recruit more African-American participants into the vaccine, because that's a community that's been particularly hard hit from COVID, and they're not volunteering in the way that other communities are.
I'm all for this. The African American community has been hard hit by COVID. They have more pre-existing conditions like obesity, like heart disease, like diabetes.
Yeah.
That's one issue. And the other issue is they may be more reluctant to come to care. John, we need the vaccine to hit the high-risk groups first. So
Yeah.
I'm all for trying to get, and by the way, we have to know that all groups are represented in vaccine trials to know that it really works.
You know, it's just, we really, really, really need to share this information. We need to tell people, do not do this no matter what. I understand $1,200 would save me right now. It would pay, catch me up on rent. And so I know what they're dealing with, but it's not worth it. They could offer me $10,000 and I would not do this. You just cannot put yourself in these positions right here. Okay? Look, the county has set aside $10 million for the project. Wow, right? Which should cover 7,500 people. 7,500 people will get the stipends, right? That is just crazy. Not only now is the government giving you all kinds of free, like the free, flu shot, etc., etc. Now they're going to pay you to get this test and to get put into these places they want you in, to go to these places they want you in. You really think the government cares that much about you to be paying you to come take a test? If you truly do, I'm sorry. I have nothing more to say to you, because that is so obvious. There is no chance that they would do that, and they're not the only place. This is happening, in a bunch of other places. Here was another one that I pulled up. It said, could you get paid to quarantine during the CV-19 pandemic? Some local governments already are doing it. This is from today. Look at that. Quarantining for 4 days after being exposed to CV-19 is key to stopping the spread. See, so that's what they want to do. They're just going to keep pushing how important it is to lock you down, isolate, quarantine. And some places in the United States and around the world are paying people to stay home. Stay home or stay in one of their facilities. You don't know, So, this is going on and on. I'm going to leave these in the description so you can see this, because you definitely are going to want to see this. This is what they're doing. They are just putting out money because they know they have your backs against the wall, and you're just in a horrible spot. They break your legs and then they say, hey, here, I'm going to give you a crutch. Here, I'm helping you. I'm just here to help. Well, you're the one who destroyed my life in the first place, but here you go, right? And they have people so deceived and so brainwashed that they literally get away with it. So just definitely share this information and keep talking about it. It's not worth it. I know how much money, we all could use, but it's not worth it. Please do not go to these type of things, okay? Everybody stay safe. Continue to pray for discernment, pray for strength, have the full armor of God, please, every day, because we need it. We truly are under attack right now. So, everybody, y'all have a great day. We'll talk to you real soon.